Hello and welcome back to the High Altitude Investing Crypto live stream. Today is November 18th, 2025. Should be a really good stream today. Got a lot to talk about with the markets and all of the movement on Bitcoin as well as altcoins. A lot of important key factors in the market, including Bitcoin dominance and other things. I also have some stuff to talk about as far as making money in crypto is actually pretty straightforward and easy if you don't make this one mistake, which we'll talk about throughout today's live stream. So yeah, it's going to be a good day. Happy to be here and happy to be talking about crypto. Now, there's a lot of strength in different coins. I have Zcash up here and I have Binance coin up here as well. You can see we have a huge pump in the big picture on Zcash and on Binance. So there's a lot of strength in this market in the big picture. I think sometimes people fail to realize how big of an uptrend crypto is in. We are in a very big uptrend for this market. And although there are short-term corrections, as with any market in the world, is overall this market is very bullish and has been trending up for a very long time, especially the projects that have real value, that are good projects. Now, there are a lot of altcoins since 2021, when we topped out in 2021 due to the fact that we had a bit of basically an internet bubble repeat inside of crypto in 2021. So there are a lot of altcoins that are down from 2021. Since that point. But Zcash fully recovered after the crash that happened here in 2021. So it just goes to show what can happen if you don't give up on stuff that has real value. Jerry, what is up? Thank you for tuning in. So let's look at the Bitcoin chart on Brave Liquid Index here, and we'll go to the big picture, and we'll pull up the biggest time frame here on Bitcoin. We'll remove all the drawing tools and we'll switch over to the logarithmic chart. Now, the Brave Liquid Index doesn't always update as fast, so let's actually switch to let's just go to the Bitcoin index. I believe, here we go, Bitcoin all-time index. There we go. And let's switch over to the logarithmic chart. Cool. So this is Bitcoin in the big picture. This is what I mean by the uptrend. This is a very strong uptrend on Bitcoin. If you guys don't know about uptrends and the way markets work, one of the first things you'll learn if you buy a good technical analysis book is how the trend is your friend, right? That's what the trend is. Oops, I put the E first. The trend is your friend. So that's the way the markets work. The trend is your friend. Whatever direction the market is trending in, especially in the big picture, is the direction the market is the most likely to continue to trend towards. Why? Because this chart right here represents the actual value of crypto. In other words, crypto did something very important. It solved something called the double spend problem. There's this problem where we had tried to make digital currencies in the past, but there was this problem called the double spend problem that was really hard for people to get their minds around and to find a way to solve this problem without creating, central points of attack. And what Bitcoin did is it changed the game. It solved a big problem in the world. So Bitcoin created real value by solving a real problem. And the double spend problem is just one of the problems that Bitcoin solved. It also solved remittances, all kinds of stuff, making it possible for a whole bunch of new things to happen in the world because of this digital currency called Bitcoin. And so this chart here in the big picture from 2010 until current day is a perfect example of the value of Bitcoin, the value of this technology over time. This is a representation of, hey, Bitcoin created real value. It solved problems. That's how you create real value. If you go mow somebody's lawn, you solve the problem of them having long grass on their lawn, and You created value and you were paid for it. In the case of Bitcoin, when Bitcoin creates real value, it's reflected in the price over time. So this is why the price of Bitcoin has been increasing significantly over time. From current price until today, it's been increasing over time because of the fact that Bitcoin creates real value because it solves real problems. Now, what people fail to recognize is they get so caught up in short-term price action and that they fail to recognize that that value proposition hasn't changed. Tell me how Bitcoin has stopped producing real value. It hasn't. It's still producing real world value today, 2025, November 18th. Bitcoin is still producing real world value. Yes, the price may be down in relation to its previous peak here at 126,000, down to our local bottom here at 89K that we've started to bounce up off of a little bit in the short term, especially on the daily candle. We are down a little bit in the short term from our peak at 126,000. But has Bitcoin stopped producing real world value? That's the question you need to ask yourself, because if Bitcoin hasn't stopped producing real world value, if there's still demand for this technology due to the fact that it solves a problem effectively, it doesn't just solve a problem, it solves a problem better than any other currency up until the point of Bitcoin. Now we have some that are arguably better than Bitcoin, but up until the point in which Bitcoin was created, Bitcoin solved the digital currency problem of it being impossible to create a currency that can't be duplicated and double spent better than any other solution in the history of humanity up until that point. And you can see the price of Bitcoin is reflected in the fact that it solves problems. And you can measure even from the bottom right here up to where we're at right now. No kidding, it went up 14 million%. You know, that shouldn't surprise us that much when the fact that it started out being worth nothing in terms of dollar value, but it was worth something in terms of fundamental value, to being worth over 100,000 per coin. That's a reflection of what Bitcoin has done for the world. The proof is in the pudding, if you want to put it that way. You can see it clear as day in the chart. Yoate for what? You hate for what? You hate for what says, I'm so ready to land on the moon. Yeah, if you've got a moon ship ready to go, if you've got your rocket ship all set up and you haven't been selling your crypto, then you are ready to land on the moon, and you will be glad that you stuck with it. Paul to be says, hey mate, hope you're doing good, Dallin. Well, thank you. I am doing very good today. Alexis Diaz just posted a rocket emoji. Thank you. You hate for what? Litecoin to the moon. Yes, Litecoin to the moon. We can talk about Litecoin here in a minute if you want to. Professor K says, nice to see you, Dallin. Please play a tune after you're done. Okay. Tony H says, hi, Dallin. Do you think we will see Theta as a strong project? If so, I'd be interested to hear your perspective on it when it's likely to make its move, specifically on exponential movement. Thank you. Yeah, so, hey, what's up, Black Raven Meditation? Thank you for tuning in. It's good to see you. So, yeah, essentially, let's take a look at Theta. The pump that's coming in crypto is coming soon. Really soon. Bitcoin, we've started to see some strength in Bitcoin throughout 2025 and 2024. But the altcoin markets, the long-awaited big altcoin bull market, we've only had a few altcoins really take off. We haven't had a altcoin bull market like we saw in 2017 or like what we saw in 2021 when those altcoins were really going parabolic and taking off in a big way, right? So because of that, there's still that big parabolic pump that happens every cycle has not happened, and it's still really primed to happen soon. Let's pull up the ADA chart here. We'll pull up ADA, Cardano, and we'll take a look at Cardano here on the logarithmic chart. So if you take a look at Cardano, this is Cardano on the right, and this is theta over here on the left. And what you can see here with Cardano is we have a big ABC correction down. Big, huge crash. This is technically not a zigzag ABC. This is a different kind of ABC correction where the A wave is longer than the B wave. You get this type of correction sometimes in the markets where the C wave, where the C wave is smaller than the A wave. A standard zigzag Elliott wave correction would look like this, where the A wave and the C wave are either exactly the same in length or the C wave is longer, like this. This is what a standard ABC zigzag correction would look like. But there's a rare case in markets where you get, and this actually happens quite a bit in crypto, probably because there's so many people that understand the basic principles of Elliott wave theory, that the market does more rare type of corrections and stuff to trick people. But this right here is a different kind of ABC correction where the A wave is actually longer than the C wave. But essentially, Cardano did a big ABC correction from 2018 until 2020 when it bottomed out during the COVID panic, which was crazy because it was so funny. Everybody thought crypto was going to go down during COVID. Crypto went so high during COVID, it only dropped like right when COVID hit, when everybody was freaking out. Yeah, crypto dropped 50% when COVID hit because everybody was freaking out. Altcoins dropped a little bit harder. Bitcoin dropped about 50%. Most altcoins dropped like 60 to 70%. But that correction only lasted a month. It was so short-lived. And you can see what happened actually during COVID is we went all the way to the moon. Huge parabolic run here. And a lot of people will say there's different reasons that this happened. One of the main reasons is how oversold the crypto markets were. Another reason is how much money we were printing during that time. The value of lumber went up crazy. We were giving everybody free stimulus checks and just printing money like crazy. And so, of course, the value of anything other than the dollar is going to go up when everybody's getting free money, because there's no such thing as free money. I know it sounds shocking, but there's this law of the universe called the law of equivalent exchange that states that you cannot have anything without exchanging another thing for it, and it's just and it's true. And when it comes to the financial world, as much as people believe that they can get free money, free something, somebody's paying for it somewhere, and it's usually you, and there's no such thing as free anything in the universe. That's a complete myth. So with that being said, theta is the same type of correction that Cardano did back in 2018 and 2019 and 2020. The only difference being is that this is 2025. So a different cycle, same story, different day. Theta is at that point where we're really going to go parabolic and exponential, to answer your question, and do a run just like how Cardano did from our lows down here up to our peak at around $3. Now, I don't trade fundamentals. I don't. They're the last thing on my mind. I look at charts. That's the primary focus of my analysis. You guys already know the drill. With that being said, if we do end up getting some type of a stimulus check, which has been talked about because of the tariff situation, there's been talk about everybody getting stimulus checks. I don't care about a stimulus check. It doesn't matter to me whether I get one or not. But the fact of the matter is that if everybody gets one, the value of lumber, the value of stocks, the value of everything is going to go up, because you cannot create something out of nothing. It's impossible. So so theta is really at that point where we're going to translate from a bear market into a bull market on theta and see that exponential growth that I've been talking about in my videos for quite some time now, preaching to you guys continuously. And it's the same setup as buying Cardano essentially back in 2020 in March when Cardano saw a significant correction due to COVID. This whole crash that we saw in the crypto markets, you could say, okay, well, this is the same story all over again, just with a different narrative. The narrative in 2020 was a global pandemic when we had that final crash in altcoins before mooning and going all the way up. And the narrative in this cycle was tariffs and Trump and, hey, we were promised a crypto pump and now he's talking about tariffs and everybody panicked and the market pulled back. It's the same story with a different narrative, a different package, a different face, but it's the same story. Paul to be says, rap dog, moon or dust. I choose moon. I choose moon too. It looks really good. Rap dog does. I know people don't understand cycles, so they see something down and they're like, oh, this looks so bad, but it looks good to me. I'm still a big bull on rap dog. Again, that final capitulation event where Cardano had to make one more lower low, that's the way I see rap dog. This is how you trade markets in the big picture like this, especially altcoins, because you really don't know where the exact bottom is going to be. Nobody has a time machine, so nobody knows where the exact bottom of the market is going to be. So there's this thing called a downtrend that you're in. You know that this specific coin, whatever it is, has value, that it's being accumulated by big exchanges, but nobody knows exactly what exact point the bottom is going to be. And sometimes I've done this before where I've bought a coin and it's went down 80 to 90% and you think that you lost all of your money only to have it recover all the way to a new all-time high and for you to come out not only on top but with a massive profit in your portfolio. But it takes some willpower to do that because not everybody can see. That's the thing about crypto. You have to be kind of crazy to be a crypto investor because we're so early to this market that crypto is one of the most volatile markets in the entire world. It's very volatile on the upside, on the downside. So you have to be able to stomach insane amounts of volatility. This is why the crypto markets will make a person resilient faster than almost anything in the world if they're willing to let it do that to them. It will teach them resilience and patience and persistence because of the fact that these markets can drop 80% in the big picture. Like look how much rap dog fell. And if you aren't willing to let your investment look like it's going to zero only to come all the way back up to a new all-time high and make you rich, then you're not going to make money in these markets unless you play a very conservative approach to the markets, which is something you can do if you'd like, where you just buy big projects that have stronger fundamentals and you just slowly accumulate and average in over time. That's a very low-risk situation where you don't have to see as much swings. But in the case of rap dog, I'm still bullish to answer your question, Paul to be. Ron Stalzer says, what do you think of these theta beta plays, T-Drop and Levitia? I love Levita AI. It's super cool. It's a cool project. If we go to the chart here, we're pretty undervalued. We're really, we pulled back here pretty hard since our top over here when we topped out, short-term top out here in December of 2024. We pulled back a little bit here, so we are short-term undervalued here on Levita AI. I'm big on theta. The whole theta ecosystem, as theta starts to bottom out, the whole theta ecosystem will take off. It will blow up. It will go to the moon. It's not like T-Fuel is going to be left behind. It's not like T-Drop is going to be left behind. And especially a lot of these AI projects and just anything on theta is going to do well. T-Fuel didn't go below 2 cents. I believe that was the bottom. It definitely could be CR. It definitely could be the bottom here with T-Fuel. I would not be at all surprised. Because here's the thing about the market cycle. Let's pull up our market cycle chart here. Desktop, trading patterns, market cycle. Here's the thing about these market cycles. There's this thing called capitulation, anger, and depression. The point of the cycle that everybody hates unless they are buying it because they usually buy up here, and then when it goes down into anger and depression, they're pretty sad about their investments. But the anger phase of the cycle and the depression phase is a pretty neat point in the cycle where it looks like the market's bottomed out, but then it goes for one more painful low. One more big, depressive, painful, brutal low. And you can see if we're looking at our Wall Street cheat sheet over here on the right and T-Fuel over here on the left, we can just start to label this chart. Here's euphoria. Here's complacency. So here's euphoria, complacency, right? You can start to map this out. Anxiety, denial, panic, capitulation, anger, right here. Then look how the market bounces back up after anger. Looks like it's bottoming out. Looks like it's going to turn around finally. And then it goes for one more kind of painful, brutal drop to a new low here on the depression phase of the cycle. And if we look at T-Fuel here, that's where we're at on T-Fuel. You can even see it if you look right here, see how there's this kind of steady climb down right here. And then if you look on the market cycle chart, see how there's this kind of steady climb down right here. There you go. So that steady climb down right here, right? And then this steady kind of climb down right here. That's depression of the cycle. So obviously nobody knows exactly where the bottom could be. But I will say we're at that point where it's going to happen soon. It's going to happen soon. You hate for what says, I love data, it does not lie. That's exactly right. If you want to be good at these markets, back test. Back test, back test, back test. If you don't know what back testing is, that's where you go look and you study these charts. You go back test strategies in the market and see if your strategy would have worked. Because there's so much data in these markets. You could go back and look at hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of coins, and you can have a strategy, and you can back test to see how many times that strategy would have worked and how many times that strategy would have failed. And if you get enough data, then you're not guessing. You're working with data. And data doesn't lie, and the charts don't lie, and it's repeatable, and you have an edge on the market. But the thing is, most people don't have an edge on the market because most people don't take the time to really learn, to really dig deep, to really take it seriously. And most people don't take the time to learn this stuff over the long term. They just want to just get into it because it's cool, and then they give up at the first sight of failure. Brykaz0613 says, Dallin, what is up? Never seen crypto top in extreme fear before buy your moon suits. Yes, get your moon suits on. Crypto doesn't top in a state of extreme fear. Theta is a good example of this. If I was to look for a crypto top, I would be looking. You can turn the replay tool here on. Let's just use theta, right? And we'll turn the leave. Okay, replay, continue. Oops. I did not mean to do that. Start new, there we go. If I was looking for a top in the market, I'd be looking for stuff like this. Okay? This is what extreme greed looks like. Here's theta in 2021. That's what extreme greed looks like. It doesn't really matter how you cut it. That's what extreme greed looks like. And extreme fear is the complete opposite of that. It's what we see in the market right now. So, yeah, markets don't top out in extreme greed. They top out in extreme fear. They top out in extreme greed, which is what theta was at in the peak in 2021. Right now, it's in a state of extreme fear. It's pretty simple. Light Clothes says Dal rocket ship. What's up, Rashim? I saw your text message this morning, by the way. I'll get back to you. Just had some stuff to do. Alexis Diaz says, what do you think about Jasmy? Let's pull up Jasmy here. Oh, and by the way, the fear and greed index too, you guys, back to what I was talking about with fear and greed and stuff. And markets don't top in extreme greed, fear, they top in extreme greed. The fear and greed index right now is in a state of extreme fear in the crypto markets, and it's been this way for a while, by the way. We were in a state of a little bit of greed up here, back in like July but we're in a state of extreme fear right now. So, and you can really see it if you go to Twitter, also known as X. If you go over to X and you hop on and you're looking around at charts and you're looking at what people are saying and what they think is going to happen in these markets, it's no surprise that there's so many people bear posting right now. People posting big crashes coming, people posting the market going down another 90% after altcoins have already done that. It doesn't surprise me one bit to see that kind of stuff in the market. Of course that kind of stuff is happening in these markets. Of course people are in a state of bearishness. We're in a state of extreme fear. So the way these markets work, if you guys are new to trading and investing, 90% of people lose. So most people are a statistic. It's only 10% of people that win in crypto investing. And that 10% of people, the reason that they win is because they don't follow the 90%. This is the same principle, by the way. You think this is like so crazy with crypto trading and investing? Guess how many percentages of new businesses fail? It's the majority of new businesses that fail. A huge percentage of them do. It's only a small percentage that's successful. How many people do you think give up when they go to learn how to play the piano or the guitar? Probably about 90% of people do. It's only probably about 10% that succeed. So when you see a statistic like this, you can think, oh man, I don't think I should do crypto. 90% of people fail. Well, guess what? 90% of people fail in life, whatever pursuit that they're going after. And you know why they fail? You know the reason? You want to know the underlying cause that equals that effect? Why there are 90% instead of the 10% that succeed? The underlying cause is because they follow the crowds. That's what their problem is. So this is true for crypto investing, just as it's true for everything. And so yeah, people when the market is in a state of extreme fear, everybody's posting bearish charts because 90% of people are a statistic. They end up becoming a statistic because of their mindset and their choices. So let's look at Jasmy here. I love charts like this. I love to see a chart like this. This is one of my favorite things to see. You know how many times I've seen a chart like this before? Enough to know what happens, Not enough to know that when something looks like this, I should probably be paying attention to what's coming in the market. I'm full-blown bullish on Jasmy. I still fully expect, even with 90% of people posting bearishness about crypto, I still fully expect us to see a big run on altcoins and a big, glorious alt season. I know some people are trying to say it's impossible to have it happen now because it hasn't happened yet. But at least this cycle, right? But I still fully see this coming for Jasmy, for a lot of coins. Bitcoin dominance has gone below 35% to complete wave C. Let's check out Bitcoin dominance. I actually wanted to talk about Bitcoin dominance today, so I'm glad you brought it up. Let's isolate our chart. Yeah, Bitcoin dominance. What do you mean 35? Below 35% to complete? Oh, you mean in relation to Fibonacci extensions because of your Elliott wave count? Anyways, well, I'll just do some analysis here on the market cap, the market dominance for the Bitcoin market cap. And if you look right here, you guys, we broke bearish out of a rising wedge pattern here on Bitcoin dominance, which is a huge sell signal for Bitcoin dominance. That's a huge, this right here, when this broke bearish right here, that is a huge sell signal for Bitcoin dominance. Why do you think that we have altcoins popping off right now, like Zcash? We're starting to see the early signs of an alt season. And yet Bitcoin crashed from 126,000 down to 90K. It's because big whales are moving their money over from Bitcoin into the altcoin markets. They are seeing the exact same thing that I'm showing you in this live stream right now. The fact that Bitcoin dominance broke bearish out of a massive rising wedge, multi-year rising wedge pattern, rejected off of the top of the wedge again, or the bottom of the wedge, I mean, and is starting to sell off again. So Bitcoin dominance is looking pretty bad right now. And by the way, Bitcoin dominance goes up during a bear market, not down. Here's a bear market right here, and Bitcoin dominance is going up, not down. Here's a bull market right here, and Bitcoin dominance is going down. Here's a bull market right here, and Bitcoin dominance is going down. So by the way, for people again that are trying to call a top on crypto, how come Bitcoin dominance is rejecting and going down? That's what happens when the crypto markets go into a bull market, especially altcoins. But that's when the crypto market goes full-blown bull market. It's when Bitcoin dominance is going down, not up. So this is what the whales see right now. This is why they're moving so much of their capital out of Bitcoin and into altcoins, because they see exactly what I'm showing you right here. Michael Freon says Telcoin is pumping. Yes, Telcoin is pumping, and I have been very excited about this coin the past few days. I posted a video about it yesterday. Make sure you guys go watch it if you haven't. Basically covering the setup on Telcoin. Telcoin just got approved with some pretty awesome stuff. They're literally innovating and pioneering the crypto industry right now in a really big way, and it's only worth 0.006 cents. So just take a minute to imagine what your life could look like if you made 26 times your investment on something. Okay? Just as an estimate, I'm not saying I know exactly how high Telcoin will go, but let's just pretend that it goes up 26 times for the sake of today's live stream. Okay, if you put $1,000 into something, that's $26,000. That's not bad. It's not the biggest profit in the world, but it's not bad to make $26,000 off $1,000, you know? And that's really what Telcoin is set up to do in the big picture, is at least 26 times from current price. And by the way, in the short term, if we're talking short term, it's shockingly like Dogecoin before. Remember how we all made a big profit on Dogecoin last year and at the end of the year in 2024? I was posting a lot about Dogecoin, how it was going to pump and go up right here. We made a big profit on Dogecoin as it broke bullish out of a falling wedge. Okay? In 2024. Check out Telcoin right now. Doesn't that look pretty good to you? It looks really good to me. So the only difference I could see happening is because of the context of where we're at in the cycle. I could see Telcoin just continually breaking out, whereas Dogecoin actually started to sell off as it got up towards 48 cents. It had another correction. But I could see Telcoin pretty much going vertical, up only kind of a move. I'm not saying it won't have corrections, but I don't think it will drop 72% after it breaks out to a new local high. I think it will have a little bit of a correction, but due to the context of the cycle, makes a lot more sense for it to continue to trend up higher. Maybe something like this, right? Instead of something so deep as what happened on Doge over here. So that gives you an idea of what I'm seeing on Telcoin. The stimmy check is divided, or is a dividend. It is a distribution of profits, not money from nowhere. You know, by the way, it's still, here's the thing, okay? First of all, yes, I agree with you. It's a little bit different than 2020 where we just pretty much pulled money out of thin air and said everybody can have free money. It is a little bit different than that. With that being said, you're still giving people money and you're making other countries pay for it. So yeah, it's like I said, it's nothing can come from nowhere. Something has to come from somewhere. In the case of us printing money in 2020, that money came from ourselves. We were the ones that paid for it. That's why lumber went up so high. In the case of tariffs, we're making other countries pay for the money that we want to give if we end up doing the stim check thing, right? I haven't checked recently to see if the bill got passed or anything like that. I know it's been talked about. So it is a little bit different, but still somebody's paying for it. And still somebody is getting money. If everybody was given money from the tariffs, it's still going to cause a degree of the price of assets to go up instead of down. It is a little bit different than what happened in 2020 though, because the monies we're making other countries pay for it instead of ourselves as much. Luna the Alpha says hello. Well, hello, Luna. Thank you for tuning in. Operation Shutdown says, I appreciate your big picture outlook. Well, I appreciate you tuning in consistently to these live streams. Pablin Rivera says, are we in a bear market now? I don't think so, Pablin, I mean. I personally don't believe that we're in a bear market at all. I know some people think we are just because Bitcoin pulled back a little bit, but I'm not in that boat of people that think we're in a bear market on Bitcoin either. If you look at the log chart on Bitcoin over time, this is kind of how I started the live stream out, talking about the value proposition of Bitcoin, how it solved the double spend problem. It made it possible for digital currencies to be a reality. Bitcoin solves real world problems, and you can see over time the price of Bitcoin reflects the fact that it solves real world problems. Otherwise it wouldn't be in such a massive uptrend over time. All corrections are for buying, and that's how I feel about the crypto space as a whole, especially if you're investing in altcoins that have good strong fundamentals, or you're buying Bitcoin over the long term. Both of those plays are very low risk, have a lot of opportunity. So for me, this is a big opportunity to pick up more crypto. Some people are fearful. Some people are getting a little bit bold and trying to call a top on the one of the fastest growing industries in the world, and also one of the most important industries in the world. But I'm not going to try to do that. Matt Osty says, thanks for the Telcoin video. Let's make some money. Smash those likes, people. Yeah, you're welcome. And thank you for watching it and tuning in to today's live stream. Luna the Alpha says, Tel is holding nicely. Yes, it is. Telcoin is on fire, and it's awesome. Alex W says, can you please look at ASM and VZLA stock? Let's check them out. ASM, oh, they're not crypto. We're talking stocks. Let me take off the crypto symbol. There we go. Oh, silver and gold mines. Sweet. I love silver and gold. Switch back to a regular chart. This looks good. This looks like a crypto chart bottoming out. This is an ABC correction here. We've went sideways inside of this little range. You can see we had a bit of a range right here. Just recently, we broke bullish out of that range up towards $6.78, pulling back a little bit here in the short term. I'm pretty sure silver pulled back a little bit. Gold might have too, but pretty sure it's recovering. I haven't checked in a couple of weeks. But you can see this is a pretty common kind of bottom structure in the market. In fact, if you want a good example of this, let's go over to crypto and we'll take a look at a crypto chart that looks the same. First of all, we have Dogecoin, which looks pretty much the same. Isn't that cool? I love to find these fractals because it's so cool to see how these patterns appear in the market so often, over and over again. And by the way, Dogecoin looks like silver, so if you want another example of a chart that looks a lot like what we're seeing right here on this gold and silver chart, our mining company, you can see right here we have silver. Very similar chart as well. So this mining company is basically following silver. It's following the same fractal as what we see commonly in the crypto markets, because markets are fractal in nature. It doesn't matter if you're trading gold, silver, stocks, crypto, tulip seeds, like what happened with the tulip seed bubble. You're going to see the same patterns in these markets happen over and over and over again. And so that's what we see here with this gold and silver mining company, and what we see over here with silver. It's basically following silver, it's just lagging behind. So I could see it doing the same kind of a breakout as silver. And this is the same thing that happens in crypto as well. Let's pull up Bitcoin back in 2015 here. And Bitcoin did the same pattern. Here's an ABC correction. Here is our sideways consolidation inside of a range. Here's our bullish breakout of that range, followed by a correction onto our support level. And as Bitcoin continued to break out here and make higher highs and higher lows and really establish its uptrend, you can see then it went to the moon. So this is the same story in these markets happening over and over again. Now, what was the name of the other chart? Let's see here. VZLA. Let's pull up VZLA. Another silver stock. Oh, this one's looking really good here. Yeah, so this is the beginning of an uptrend on this stock right here. Increasing price and volume right here. That's a really good sign. So if you have increasing price plus increasing volume, that equals strength. So that shows strength in the market. Increasing price and increasing volume shows strength. What it shows you is that there's substance behind this. This isn't a fake pump. This isn't just a big scam pump that's going to dump and die. There's substance. There's actual real money being put into this. There's backbone to it. And that's what it shows when you have increasing price and volume at the same time. Because you could have increase in price with no volume. That shows that the top will happen at some point. Like with Apple computers, as much as I love Apple computers, and I know you guys, some of you guys are going to be Microsoft, Bill Gates kind of people. I love both. Like, I'm on a Windows computer right now. I grew up using Windows, but I love Apple too. But if you look at Apple's chart here early on in the uptrend, you can see we had increasing price and increasing volume. So we have increasing price and volume in this area here. And that shows strength. That shows this market has substance. It's really strong, really bullish. And what you can see here is over time, now the price is going up. But what happened to the volume? What happened to our trading volume? It's gone. It's virtually gone now. And I'm not trying to call a top right here. I think Apple will probably go higher before it finally tops out. But the fact of the matter is, Apple is increasing in price and decreasing in volume. At some point, this stock will top out and will have a bear market. This bull market will not last forever. So it's powerful to understand that simple truth about markets and volume. That stock looks really good due to the fact that we have a lot of increasing volume and a nice increase in price. That tells me that we're probably early on in the cycle, just like early on with Apple over here, and we have a lot more upside coming before it tops out. And I'm very bullish on silver and gold both. I don't think we're anywhere near a top on either of them. As bullish as they are, as excited as people are about both of those markets, I don't think we're anywhere near a top on either of them. So if you're buying silver and gold companies, then it's a smart thing to do. Yeah, thank you, Alex. Thanks for tuning in today. Nick Tuzzi says, thoughts on AVAX. I love AVAX. I made a video about it a couple weeks ago for good reason. Because it's a good project. It's a good coin. How I was talking about if you wanted to invest in crypto earlier on in the live stream, talking a little bit about how if you wanted to invest in crypto with very low risk, the smartest way to do that would be to buy coins with good fundamentals and just steadily accumulate. Buy Bitcoin, buy AVAX, buy Theta, buy stuff that has good, strong fundamentals, but it's undervalued, and just steadily accumulate. That would be a very low risk way to invest in crypto. AVAX would fall under the category of pretty much guaranteed. This coin is pretty much guaranteed to go up. So a very low risk strategy would just be to continually invest in AVAX over time and continually accumulate this coin, and you're going to make a lot of profit. Now, I'm not saying you're not going to have a big return on AVAX, because this thing, by the way, to a new all-time high, let's measure from our current price to a new all-time high. If it just breaks a little bit above our old all-time high, you're still talking 21 times your money from current price. So I'm not telling you that this is a low-risk coin because it's low profit. I'm telling you it's a low-risk coin because it's pretty much guaranteed to pump, and the profit is actually really big on this coin. Let's pull up 2-week here. This is one of my favorite coins in terms of fundamentals. It's up there with some of the best fundamentals. And if you look at this pattern here, this is what the chart is telling us. The chart is telling us that, yes, everything that I've been talking about how crypto had an internet bubble repeat in 2021 is true, because you can see it on the chart. And if you look at AVAX in 2021 did exactly what happened to the internet bubble in the late 90s. And then in the early 2000s, we had the internet bubble pop. That's what happened to AVAX in 2022. when the FTX situation happened and there was a crypto bubble pop. And then what happened afterwards here, after the internet bubble popped, we did a big double bottom in the market. So here's our first bottom right here. We pump up and we come back down, and here's our second bottom right here. So that's a big double bottom. Once we break above that double bottom right here in this nice V-shaped recovery, then we started to push up here, and that's really signaled the green light go for the US stock market after the internet bubble popped. Because like I say often in these streams, people always talk about the internet bubble popping. Nobody talks about how rich people got that bought the bottom of the internet bubble after it popped. Because that's not as cool or as exciting as, oh, the internet bubble popped. It doesn't sound as cool in some ways, or I don't know why. I swear fear-mongering works way better than telling people to, get excited about something for some reason. But whatever. So that's what AVAX is doing. AVAX, here's our first bottom here. Here's our second bottom here. And what could happen here, and what I suspect will happen, which is pretty much guaranteed to happen based on market cycle analysis, based on volume, is to have this thing break out up through this resistance level here and start a big bull market, just like what happened to the NASDAQ Composite Index after 2009, which would have been the absolute bottom of the second bottom in our double bottom after the internet bubble popped. The absolute bottom was 2002 of the internet bubble, but 2009 was the absolute bottom of the double bottom, the second low. So yeah, pretty sweet, right? Pretty cool. Jacob Manning says Litecoin is primed and ready to blast. I think so too. Litecoin looks really good. Let's pull up LTC here. Litecoin dollar. Oops. Pick one chart, not two charts. Pull up old Litecoin dollar here on Coinbase. And let's zoom in just a little bit here. You can see I have a triangle drawn on this thing. This is the same kind of pattern that Zcash did before it pumped. People are pretty excited about privacy coins. Litecoin is an opt-in privacy coin, so you can have a privacy wallet on Litecoin. It's up to you if you want to or not. And I do believe in privacy coins. I think just like how people should have freedom of speech, we should have freedom of finance. We should have our own access to our own types of money that isn't controlled and centralized and manipulated. And privacy coins are a great way to do that. I'm a big proponent of, supporting your country especially if they have good values. And I believe in supporting your country and paying taxes and all those kinds of things. So I don't believe in privacy coins to try to escape being a good citizen, but I do believe in privacy coins because it should be a fundamental right to have ownership over our money and not have it controlled by people that may not have our best interests in mind. And when it comes to Litecoin, it falls under that category, and it looks a lot like Zcash before it pumped. So yeah, it does. It seems like it's pretty much right here, right at that apex of the triangle before Zcash broke out. I could see a big parabolic run coming for Litecoin. BCH, if you did it already, I'll remind. I have not done BCH yet, so I'll hop over to BCH and do some Bitcoin Cash analysis for you. So yeah, Litecoin is in a triangle. Looks like it's going to break out. Let's pull up BCH here. BCH is actually in a bullish flag right now. So let's pull up what would be a good example. I think Bitcoin did a pretty good example of one of these little bull flags. Let's pull up Bitcoin. Let's go down to the daily. Let's zoom in a little bit here to this point in the cycle right here. Okay. Let's go to 2-day candlesticks. That might work better. Okay, here we go. So as Bitcoin started to bottom out, in 2023, Bitcoin started to see some strength in the market, and you can see what it did is it did a bullish flag pattern right here. Right? It did a nice bull flag. It broke bullish out of that bull flag, started to take off. That's what BCH really reminds me of right now, is a pretty similar kind of structure in the market. We're starting to bottom out down here on BCH off of our $90 level right here. It looks a lot like Bitcoin before it really did a nice run in 2023 and in 2024 as well. And even in 2025, we had a pretty good run on Bitcoin until recently. But yeah, that's the same kind of structure here for BCH. Looks like kind of those early establishment of a trend where you're starting to uptrend a little bit, but you're still having some selling pressure that's carrying you down a little bit. And that's what makes that kind of bull flag structure, is the remaining selling pressure left in the market from the crash that happened previous to the recovery. And that selling pressure kind of leads to a little bit of a downward channel, and as sellers try to push it lower, but the bulls are clearly in charge here. So more upside is heavily expected here for Bitcoin Cash in the near future, up towards a new local high up above 706. And it looks a lot like Bitcoin as it bottomed out. Nick Toozy says thanks. Well, yeah, thank you, Nick. K7 Gixer 1000 says BCH on log scale looks amazing. Broke out of a long-term downtrend and retested. Let's check that out. Logarithmic. Oh, hey. That does look really good. That's a nice eye, man. That's a pretty important thing to recognize and to see. Can even move this up a little bit better here. There we go. Yeah, that's called a downward trending resistance line breakout retest. That's what that's called. That does look really good. Not gonna lie. I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you. That's a pretty common thing to see. Anytime you break out of a downward trending line, it's time to pay attention. I mean, if you look at this downward trending line right here, look what happened after we broke out of that downward trending line, right? We started to trend up here towards our next downward trending line. Or if you look at what happened as we broke bullish out of this downward trending line, we started to trend up towards this resistance right here, right? So those breakouts are pretty key. When you do break out, sometimes you will pull back a little bit as it finds support, which is exactly what we did right here. So that does look pretty good. That looks nice. Future Dream 2K17 says, hey Dallin bro, big fan of you from India, following you since 2018. All fractals you showing which guaranteed to play out. How much time it will take for the bull market euphoria? 2026, 2027. Thanks, bro. Yeah, thank you for being a long-term supporter of the channel, long-term viewer. So my thesis on the crypto markets is that we will continue in a bull market until, at the very minimum, 2026, 2027, at the very maximum by 2029 is my view on crypto. So 2025 was supposed to be a big year for altcoins. We really kind of got disappointed as the market just basically fizzled out. It didn't see a big run like it did in 2024 at the end of the year, where we made a lot of money on altcoins. We had a couple altcoins take off, a couple projects we were able to make some, good calls on stuff, but nothing too crazy. Zcash, thankfully, we got in on the VIP and on Zcash and stuff, but nothing crazy. Well, actually, Zcash is pretty crazy because we bought the exact bottom of it, the VIP area. Um, but yeah, we were expecting a little bit more in 2025. So I think 2026 will be that year where what everybody was expecting in 2025 will actually happen. And back to that whole idea of the 90%, right? How 90% of people often lose money in these markets because they don't understand that you can't follow the crowds. Let's be real, 90% of people thought 2025 was going to be a huge altcoin bull market. So that's why it didn't really happen. We had a little bit of an altcoin bull market in 2025 in some coins like Zcash, but it really didn't happen in the way that we wanted it to. But now 90% of people are thinking 2026 is going to be a big bear move for crypto. I see a lot. Most people are calling for 40K per Bitcoin by the end of 2026. That's pretty much what everybody's saying. So I think what's going to happen now is, now that everybody thought 2025 was going to be that big run on altcoins, 2026 will be, because now they all think that 2026 is going to be the biggest bear market ever. So for me, 2026 will be a euphoria phase. How long that euphoria phase lasts, this cycle is in many aspects bigger than the other cycles. It kind of depends on what coin you're looking at. Some people think that the entirety of crypto follows a 4-year cycle, when really it doesn't. If that was true, then there wouldn't be coins on Dex Screener every day doing 2-day cycles, and coins on Dex Screener every day doing 3-month cycles, and coins on Dex Screener every day doing, there's so much variety in the length of these cycles. It's undeniable that the entirety of crypto does not just automatically follow a 4-year cycle. There's a little bit more to it than that. There's a little bit more. It's not so cut and dry. There's a little bit more nuance. So how long the cycle will last? Well, some of these coins are in bigger cycles than other ones, especially if you look at these meme coins. These are usually in very short, smaller cycles. And if you look at, something like XRP is in a big cycle. XRP is in a huge, massive cycle, actually. If we take a look at this cycle here for XRP, it's the same cycle right here. Let's grab our ellipse tool. See this cycle right here on XRP? This is our first accumulation cycle for XRP, okay? This is our current accumulation cycle on XRP. See how much bigger it was? But it's the same thing. It's the same, it's the same story, different day, just a longer day, a bigger day, a bigger. So these cycles are, I think people just think a little bit too just simplistic about these markets, and they're not looking at all of the full context of everything that's happening. Because this accumulation cycle currently on XRP is a repeat of the first accumulation. If we compare, see, here's our first accumulation, here's our current accumulation. It's a repeat of the first accumulation, but it's pretty much twice, like 2x the size of the first one. It's pretty much 2x the size of the first one. So that tells me that there's a little bit more to it than just crypto follows a 4-year cycle. And I do believe that there's validity and value in studying the 4-year cycle. I'm not trying to say that there isn't. Bitcoin especially has followed it a couple times now. But I think we should also be open to looking at a little bit more of what's happening here and understanding the context of the bigger cycles and being aware of just more than just, 4-year cycle is the end all be all. There is value in it. I think you should study it, but it's not the end all be all. Lego King is cool says tomorrow is my birthday. Crypto is in the Oh man. Yeah, well, hopefully it will be a bullish birthday for you because Bitcoin does look like it's bottoming out right now. If we check out Bitcoin, let's check out Bitcoin on the daily. We do have a bull pin hammer right now. So if this closes bullish on the daily, that would be a pretty bullish signal here for Bitcoin on the daily. We'd see that this would be our ABC right here, the bottom of our C wave complete. And this would be our bullish Elliott waves, 1, 2, 3, 4, and our fifth wave right here. So it could be it could be done with this correction. So you might have a bullish birthday for crypto. But yeah, that's my live stream for the day. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys, making money in crypto is easier than you think if you don't make this mistake. This mistake would be panic selling. It would be following the 90%. So if you follow the crowd, and if you just tuned into this, go rewatch the stream because there's especially some really good stuff about following the crowd and not following the crowd and stuff. If you follow the crowd, you're going to lose money. Don't follow the 90%. This is true for everything in life, not just crypto. Don't follow the 90% or you will lose money, and don't panic sell in states of extreme fear, because that's what 90% of people are doing. So if you can, it's easier to make money in crypto than you think if you don't make this mistake. That's what the mistake is. Don't panic sell. Don't follow the crowds. Stay level-headed, stay calm, stay cool, stay collected. You got this. I did get requested to play a song on my guitar, so hold on. There you go, guys. That's how I feel about crypto. We're going to moon. It's going to be glorious. It's going to be fun. It's going to be awesome. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. I love you. I appreciate you. Oh, 808 Buddha wants me to do XRP, so I'll do that real fast. XRP looks pretty good, you guys. I'm a big bull on XRP. We're on support right now. This is a running flat correction. So we have this right here. It's called a running flat Elliott wave correction. Running flat. Let's see here. Where's a good example? I have to type in Elliott wave, otherwise we're going to get a bunch of pictures of people's feet, apparently. Oh. Let's see here. Here we are. Here's a running flat Elliott wave. Let's pop this up onto the chart here. So this is what in an uptrend, this is what a running flat looks like. That's what XRP did, is a running flat correction. So that big impulse right here is coming, where the market goes like this and breaks out towards a new high. So this is a running flat Elliott wave correction here on XRP. it's looking good and looking bullish. Yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Again, I love you. I appreciate you. I look forward to seeing you guys in future videos, future live streams. If you enjoyed this session, share it with your friends. Talked about some pretty important stuff that can really help you guys make the most money in these markets and make the best decisions moving forward in a time where most people are kind of losing their head. So yeah, a lot of value in today's live stream. I really feel that there was. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in future videos and live streams, even though I already said that. Anyways, catch you guys later, and as always, stay profitable out there.